Hey guys, I'm the Sega Scourge and welcome back to Sonic What If for part 2 of What If E-102 Gamma Survived, the series where we take a look at what future events would look like if Gamma, the robot with a soul, had survived the fight against his ruthless older brother. First of all, I'd like to apologize for the delay in releasing this installment. It's quite a unique one, so it required a variety of custom art assets to help convey the story, as well as great lengths of overtime in writing, but hopefully the wait will have been worth it. Now let's get down to brass tacks and briefly run through some of the things that happened last time in this AU. In part 1, we began at the finale of Gamma's SA1 story with a series of specific circumstances that led to Gamma shutting himself down before his battle with E-101 Beta Mark II. Once out of commission, his life battery left him, that being the pig Flicky. However, immediately after being released from his body, Beta then arrived and carelessly knocked the Flicky aside when it tried to communicate with the white Flicky inside of him. Fading by the second due to the severity of the strike, the broken and gravely wounded bird returned to Gamma's body, reviving him and allowing him to complete his mission by destroying Beta and freeing the white bird. But in a shocking turn of events, it was later revealed that the pink bird can no longer be safely removed from Gamma's frame. If it was, it would perish in a matter of moments. Gamma's internals are keeping the Flicky in a state of suspended animation, working in synergy by powering Gamma, while Gamma acts as the creature's life support. Amy Rose, who'd also arrived aboard the egg carrier alongside the blue birdie, took Gamma and sought out aid from Sonic and Tails. The blue and white Flickies kept close by Gamma, resting on his shoulders, feeling safe by his side, their kindred spirits aware that the third member of their family is there with them. Several notable events followed. Tails' efforts to remove the pink Flicky proved unsuccessful. Gamma took a stand against his creator, Dr. Eggman, and the robot joined Sonic and the others in the final battle with Chaos. In the days following, Gamma was left inconsolable due to the inability to free the pink Flicky inside of him. With his sole mission permanently incomplete, he had no defining purpose. However, a stirring discovery soon granted him a new one. During a beachside stroll with Amy, Gamma was shown the locket around the blue birdie's neck. On gazing at the photo inside, genetic memories of the pink bird inside him were triggered. It was then revealed that the 3 Flickies belonged to someone, the very same someone who took that photo and placed that locket on the birdie. With this knowledge, Gamma set himself a new mission parameter: return home. Gamma's new goal is to safely return the Flickies to their owner. Even if he can't free the pink Flicky within him, he can at least gain some solace in taking it where it's meant to be. Since the events of Station Square, Gamma and the birds have remained at the Mystic Ruins workshop in the company of both Tails and Amy, the latter talking with the droid while the former continues to run tests and diagnostics. Both of them have been made readily aware of Gamma's newfound objective, and with Tails still unable to provide a solution to the pink Flicky's predicament, Gamma concludes that his only choice is to venture onward. Someone out there might be able to help, but until that someone is found, the bird's owner is top priority. One night, knowing that Gamma is about to set out on his own, Tails decides to gift the robot with something before he leaves. It's obvious that Dr. Eggman might come looking for Gamma sooner or later, so he needs to be prepared for that eventuality. Tails has spent days and nights with Gamma, studying him, analyzing him, and with all the data he's compiled, he realizes that there is one thing he can do to help him. Using the remains of Beta Mark II that Amy recovered in part 1 of the story, the boy genius gives Gamma an overhaul, enhancing him with features taken from his older brother. Firstly, where Gamma's going, he might need 2 hands instead of just 1, so his bulky laser blaster is removed and replaced with a second hand. Atop the arm, Tails fixes Beta's sleek gauntlet and grafts Beta's blaster just above the wrist, giving Gamma the capability to not only shoot, but also grab. Additionally, Tails works in Beta's propulsion systems, removing Gamma's octagonal jet disc and adding 4 miniaturized boosters in its stead, allowing for a wider field of aerial movement. And finally, among Beta's remains, Tails discovered the internal component that generated the rainbow-colored energy surrounding Beta during his melee attacks. Tails performs some adjustments to it before wiring the entire apparatus onto Gamma's left arm, transforming it into a powerful defensive matrix, a shield emitter, adding an extra layer of protection and means to safeguard the Flickies and himself. As a finishing touch, the new parts are given a fresh red paint job to match their wielder. The procedure complete, Gamma stands up and beholds his upgraded self as Tails gives him some extra information on each attachment. He warns Gamma not to strain his new blaster. Beta Mark II was able to perform a charged shot that required both blaster barrels to perform, but only one was in working order, as the other hand had been too badly damaged. Beta Mark II's body was made for stockpiling energy, Gamma's was not. Regular shots are fine, but the charged shot should be avoided at the risk of a backfire. Gamma confirms his understanding as Tails prattles on, but in that same moment, Tails and Amy turn their attention to the words "breaking news" on the nearby satellite TV. The headline is enough for Tails to instantly unmute the audio and listen in. To their shock and bewilderment, the broadcast reveals that Sonic the Hedgehog has been apprehended by GUN forces for destroying several military installations and robbing Central City Bank. He's currently being transported to a secret, high-security facility for incarceration. Tails and Amy express immediate outrage and disbelief at the report, knowing that Sonic would never do something like that. There must be some kind of mistake. They spring into action in a matter of moments, ready to head out and track their friend down.
Perhaps I can be of assistance.
Gamma steps forward and offers aid in rescuing Sonic, but Amy just smiles and warmly declines the offer. Tails jumps in, however, highlighting the benefits of extra help, but Amy, in a somewhat scolding manner, tells Tails that Gamma isn't a weapon to be used. He's a guardian. He has a responsibility to the Flickies, and nothing should get in the way of that. She and Tails will be able to handle things on their own. Gamma should do what he has to do. And so, this is where they part ways. Amy and Tails join Gamma outside as he prepares to leave with his feathered companions. The heroes ask how he plans to find out where the Flickies came from. Where does he even start? Well, this presents a problem. Gamma states that his connection to the EggNet has been severed since a few days ago, leaving him blind and devoid of intel. This might have something to do with Eggman having been made aware of Gamma's excommunication and had him cut off. Gamma concludes that there is only one place that might be able to point him in the right direction. The place where it all began, where he was created. He's going back to the final egg base. Amy takes Gamma's hand and imparts all the luck in the world onto him, praying for his safety and telling him that they'll surely meet again someday. Their farewells conveyed, Gamma heads off to begin his long and likely arduous journey. Soon he arrives on the cliff overlooking Eggman's Mystic Ruins hideout. Though the base has been shut down and abandoned, signs of foreign activity soon catch Gamma's attention. GUN have arrived. Their troopers have cordoned off the site as beetle drones scour the perimeter. With no other choice, Gamma sneaks past the military post, avoiding detection from the overhead scouts, knowing that he'd be shot on sight if he's seen. Once safely inside, Gamma activates his spotlight and looks around the dark and dusty chamber where he once came to be, taking in all the visual changes that have occurred since then. Among these are the pods containing Metal Sonic and Silver Sonic 2. Metal is missing and his tank has been smashed open from the inside. Silver Sonic's tank is completely shattered and the robot itself has been ripped to shreds. Consider this a little bit of foreshadowing of future events. Journeying further into the complex, the frightened Flickies huddle into Gamma, implying that they too remember this place and are afraid of it. Gamma reaches a control room and wires himself into the mainframe through a connector on the tips of his fingers. Just barely functional, the computer reveals to Gamma the logbook of all the animals that were brought to this facility for robotization. Not only that, it reveals where each of them were taken from too. Gamma combs through the files at high speed, and sure enough, he finds entries for the 3 Flickies, along with a set of coordinates. Downloading this data, Gamma's built-in GPS blips onto a small island in the Barracuda Sea, an island not found on any ordinary map. His destination set, Gamma leaves the final egg and takes off into the sky. With the help of his new boosters, he begins the long-distance flight across the ocean and one step closer to home. At sunrise, a few short hours later, Gamma, now but a few kilometers from his waypoint, zeroes in on the outline of land in the near distance. As a nebulous fog lifts, the island comes into view. The two Flickies, having been fast asleep on Gamma's shoulders, begin to rouse from their slumber and chirp in excitement, confirming to Gamma that they know this place. Gamma glides himself into the atoll and touches down in the wooded grove near the coast. Gamma scans the immediate area for nearby signs of life. To his surprise, he discovers that the place is alive with Flickies of different shapes, sizes, and colors. But one non-avian being has shown up on his radar, a human. Gamma enters roller mode and moves towards the signal. He soon comes to the edge of a clearing. In the middle lies a toppled tree. Leaning against the tree is a little girl, no more than 10 years old. Gamma watches from the bushes nearby. From the satchel on her waist, the girl pulls forth a vintage film camera, hangs it from her neck by the strap, and begins snapping photos of her environment. The flowers, the trees, the clouds above, and the flicky birds flying about the area. She takes a deep breath and smiles with exuberance, but beneath the veil of delight lies but a hint of sadness. Gamma, upon seeing this girl, again begins to experience the same flashes he witnessed during part 1. The flashes of someone embracing the three Flickies, the feeling of a kind gaze and a calm serenity. Due to the pink Flicky inside of him, he not only feels as though he knows this girl, but also begins to recall a name as well. Upon seeing this mystery individual, the two Flickies blurt out into a series of hysterical cheeps before rushing from Gamma's shoulders and over to her. Hearing the familiar sounds, the girl turns, her face strewn with disbelief, her eyes filling with tears, as the two birds practically tackle and perch onto her, still tweeting away. This little girl is named Aya, an original character for this What If, and if not already evident, she is the original carer of the pink, white, and blue Flickies, now finally reunited with them after they disappeared months and months ago. When concepting who the owner could be since part 1, along with all of your suggestions, I felt that an original character would be more unexpected and allow me to take more creative liberties with the story rather than use an existing character. As a more adorable addition to the series, I envisioned the owner to be a small child, and that's how Aya here came to be. Her design not only reflects her rural island lifestyle, but also features some subtle references that tie her to the Flickies. Like, for instance, the 3 distinctly colored feathers on her sun hat, and her camera, being the very same camera that she used to take the photo seen in the Blue Birdie's locket. Aya is also the one who put the cyan Chaos Emerald in the locket too. She found it one day while exploring the island, and in her innocence, she pretty much just went, "Oh wow, this is a pretty stone, it's the same color as you, I'll put it in your locket as a good luck charm," not realizing what the stone was or the danger it would put the Blue Birdie in later. Speaking of the birdies, I finally managed to come up with names for them too, their original names that Aya gave them. And that's all thanks to all the suggestions you guys made in part 1. It served as huge inspiration. The sky blue Flicky is named Mi, short for Mizu, meaning water. The white Flicky is named Fu, short for Fuyu, meaning winter. And finally, the pink Flicky is named Ko, with a K, short for Kokoro, meaning heart. This name was given not only as a reference to the Flicky's color, but also to the fact that she is what keeps Gamma alive and ticking. She is his heart, so to speak. Anyway, with that exposition out of the way, let's return to present events. Aya, with tears streaming down her face in joyful relief, gently strokes the Flickies with one finger as they shower her with loving affection.
Fufu, Mimi, you're here! You're okay! I was so worried, I thought I'd never see you again.
Aya continues to weep before uttering the only 2 things that matter.
How did you get here all by yourselves? And where's Coco?
As Aya asks these lingering questions, Fu and Mi turn their tiny heads towards the direction of the tree line. Aya follows their line of sight, as out comes our cautious red giant, Gamma. Confusion turns to panic as fear sweeps across the young girl's face, and she blurts out,
No! Don't come any closer. I won't let you take them away again.
Fu and Mi tweet at Aya furiously, trying to let her know that Gamma means no harm, but in doing so, she assumes that they're just as terrified as she is. She grabs hold of the 2 Flickies in both arms and runs deep into the woods. Gamma raises his hand as if to reach out to the fleeing Aya, unable to form the words he needs. A mystifying force from within slowly pulls him forward as he begins to give chase, not grasping the girl's state of terror or her reasons for this. Meanwhile, Aya darts through the trees and arrives in a large-scale campsite set up beside the entryway to the old temple ruins, the same ruins Gamma saw when approaching the island. The camp is filled with human researchers, archaeologists who have set up shop here on the landmass. As it turns out, these archaeologists are here to examine part of a fabled continent that raised from the seabed countless years ago. Aya runs through the campsite yelling at the top of her lungs, warning the others about what's pursuing her. She runs to the far end of the installation where the team leader's tent is set up. A bearded, elderly man steps out as Aya runs towards him from a distance.
Aya! Oh, for goodness sake, I was worried sick. How many times have I told you not to go out on your own?
This man is Professor Tomo, archaeological expert and Aya's grandfather. She lives with him and the researchers here on this island. Tomo scolds Aya for leaving the safety of the camp once again, but stops when she approaches further, noting the panicked look in her eyes. He then sees the Flickies she's holding, still ceaselessly tweeting away as Aya tries exhaustedly to calm them.
Wait a minute. Those two. How did you... Aya dear, what happened?
Grandpa, it's coming this way.
Just then, from the other side of the camp, a scream echoes out and everyone turns to see Gamma plodding through the site too. Panic erupts as one of the specialists runs up to Tomo and asks what they should do. In a booming voice, Professor Tomo yells to his cohorts to take up arms. They've been preparing for this possibility. Tomo shoos his granddaughter inside, stating that it's too dangerous for her to be out here. But as she does, she and the other members of the camp hear something that sends a razor-sharp chill down their spines.
Aya.
Gamma inexplicably utters Aya's name, all while glaring at the frightened girl with his pure green lenses. Aya looks onward, hiding behind her grandfather, terrified as Gamma steps closer and closer towards her position.
So you've come for my granddaughter this time, is that right? Well, we won't let you!
Suddenly, blocking Gamma's path comes every one of the archaeological team present, every one of them wielding a weapon of some sort: stones, pipes, rakes, and other miscellaneous blunt instruments. Without hesitation, the huge group moves in and surrounds Gamma, bashing and beating the robot from every angle as they strafe around him. Gamma, in a state of disarray, tries his best to protect himself, not only himself, but also Ko inside of him. He won't fight back. He doesn't want to harm these people. The futility of the situation ever more evident, he is forced to retreat, turning around and scurrying out of the camp as fast as possible. Once gone, Tomo instructs his subordinates to place down fences and keep watch, ensuring that the robot cannot re-enter the vicinity. Gamma, now alone, comes to a halt in the forest. It becomes obvious to him based on the humans' reactions that they're familiar with beings like him, and judging by what Aya said earlier, "I won't let you take them away again," it's obvious that Eggman's robots have been there before. Indeed, an event occurred here over 2 or 3 months ago. A large group of badniks raided the island in search of more animals to grow the Mad Doctor's army. The robots eventually found the archaeologist camp in the nearby ruins and held them hostage while they captured the island's wildlife. Among those that were taken were Aya's beloved Flickies. Since that day, the crew has been living on edge, awaiting the time that the robots may return. Realizing this, Gamma opts to keep his distance for the time being. He remains close by the camp, close by Aya, mindfully watching from a distance. Later, in the early hours of the evening, as the moon looms overhead, many of the camp's inhabitants have gathered around a television set outside. Nearby is a small campfire where Aya is sat. In her arms are Mi and Fu, now finally fast asleep once again. A look of anxious worry is fixed onto her face, as if a buzzing fly could send her into a frenzy. No doubt this campfire TV setup was done in an effort to cheer her up after the unsettling ordeal that occurred earlier that day. However, another arguably far more unsettling event is about to transpire, as the television set abruptly cuts from a late-night showing of kids' cartoons to a sheet of static. 2 of the archaeologists try their best to fix it with a series of well-placed slaps, but as they do, another far different image hijacks the signal and displays itself. Gamma watches from afar, and to his horror and outrage, Dr. Eggman appears on the screen, having come to make an announcement. Aya, Tomo, and the rest of the crew freeze in place, gathering around to listen in. The Doctor blathers on about conquering the world and beginning his empire. The camp members watch before their eyes turn to the sky, as do Gamma's. From their position, they bear witness to a gargantuan beam of energy hurtle across Earth's upper atmosphere, colliding with the moon and blowing the celestial body completely in half. The stomach-churning sight leaves the camp in horror, practically hysterical, as Professor Tomo wrangles them into composure once again. Yep, as hinted earlier on with the mention of Sonic on the news, Gamma Part 2 is taking place at the exact same time as Sonic Adventure 2. Skipping forward to many hours later, morning arrives, despite the fact that many of the camp didn't get a wink of sleep after what they saw. But sadly, the worst is yet to come. Rather than be greeted by the sunshine of daybreak, they're met by dark clouds looming above. A sprinkle of rainfall begins to scatter down, and before long, the sprinkle has turned into a downpour. A monstrous storm has enveloped the entire region. Gigantic waves crash up onto the embankments, and near hurricane-strength winds tear apart the island. The archaeologists battle to hold down their tents as the rain and wind batters the camp. Instantly, they become worried for the Flickies on the island. The archaeologists split up into several groups to venture out and rescue the animals, while another smaller number holds down the fort here at home base. Aya runs out from her tent upon hearing that Tomo is among the away team. He tells her to get inside where it's safe. Aya protests this, of course, shouting to her grandfather that she can help, but the wise elder refuses, scolding her once again and telling her to do as he asks before leaving with his team in a hurry. No more than half an hour later, Tomo and two other archaeologists are already dredging their way back to the camp, each of them with wearied flicky birds in their arms. As they fight back against the torrent, a bolt of lightning strikes a tree nearby, which cracks from its root and falls right in Tomo's direction. As the professor freezes and braces himself, a sudden energy blast blows the tree to smithereens mid-collapse. Rolling up to them comes Gamma, holding two Flickies of his own.
Take these two and go. Return to camp immediately. It is dangerous here.
He passes the Flickies to Tomo and the team, who are left stunned not only by the machine's sudden reappearance, but by the fact that it's assisting them. Gamma quickly turns, detecting more life signatures in another direction, then takes off towards those many signals. Gamma makes his way around the island, recovering Flickies all the while protecting the endangered archaeologists. He's soon seen guiding the final few Flickies and archaeologists back to camp, using his chest-mounted spotlight to lead the way. But suddenly, without warning, a burst of sparks erupts from Gamma's body and he kneels over onto the floor. He begins stammering as his systems slowly fall into an unresponsive state. Remember what I said in the first part? Gamma is not waterproof. Too much exposure to the rain could seriously damage him, and in turn, threaten Coco inside of him. As debris flies about, Gamma shouts to the archaeologists, instructing them to go on without him, and they do just that, hurrying away back to camp. Gamma struggles as he continues to break down, loud snapping sounds blurting from inside him as his internals short-circuit. Back at camp, the two Flickies, Fu and Me, suddenly stir from their slumber inside the safety of Aya's tent. Something seems to have spooked them, and it's definitely not the storm. Somehow, they're tangibly aware that Gamma and Co are in danger. Aya's kept them inside as she doesn't want them to get hurt, but it seems the two birds have other plans. Without hesitation, they fly from their perch and out of the tent, vanishing into the woods as Aya dons a raincoat, shouting and chasing after them. Aya runs, and in the same moment that she ponders the possibility that they're leading her somewhere, she suddenly sees the same red robot from before, struggling to move, with Me and Fu sitting on top of him. The Flickies chirp at Aya in exasperation, asking her to help. Uncertain of why they're doing this, but trusting her own intuition, Aya begins to push Gamma with all her might. Her face twists as she gives it everything she has, her shoes slipping across the thick mud at her feet while the violent tempest pelts the forest around her. But as she strains, unaware of her surroundings, another tree snaps and tumbles over towards her. Aya realizes all too late. She screams, leaning forward to cover the two Flickies with her body, but as a splintering thud is heard, Aya's steady breaths remain. She opens her eyes, and to her shock and astonishment, sees Gamma, with his arm raised, utilizing his shield emitter to hold the tree off of Aya and the birds. Summoning his waning might, he throws the heavy chunk of tinder aside. Aya is speechless, rapidly contemplating why the robot just did that. She again tries to move Gamma, propelling herself into him via a running start, but he simply won't budge. She lacks the strength to save him. Electrical jolts flare from within Gamma's waterlogged internals, but as all hope seems lost, suddenly, the entire troop of archaeologists that Gamma saved prior come streaming out from the forest and rush to Aya's aid. In unison, they heave and carry the disabled Gamma all the way back to base camp. Gradually, and against all odds, Gamma comes to. His HUD blinks into visual cognizance and his maneuverability once again becomes operational. Gamma has been unresponsive for a whole 24 hours. His core systems just barely clung to life after he stopped moving, and managed to boot into an auto-recovery mode, slowly restoring him while he sat in a comatose state. Gamma wakes up inside one of the tents in the camp. He rotates his head to see Fu and me sat on his shoulders once again, tranquilly staring at him without a sound, as if they already knew that he'd be okay. Gamma exits the tent. The archaeologists nearby are immediately startled, but watch cautiously rather than besiege him like they did before. Professor Tomo, who stands but a few feet from Gamma's left, calls out to him, assailing him with questions rather than physical attacks.
Why are you here on this island? Why did you try to help us? Can you understand me? I'm asking, what is your goal here?
Mission. Return home. Mission status. Pending.
Gamma's answer only serves to further puzzle Tomo and those around him, but as the professor attempts to pry for further information, from behind him, Aya peeks her head out, curiously meeting eyes with Gamma.
Aya. Friend.
Aya then steps out from behind Tomo and approaches. Her grandfather tells her to exercise caution, but instead, she impulsively marches right up in front of Gamma.
My name? How do you know my name? And why were you following me before? Mimi and Fufu really seem to like you. They haven't moved since we brought you back. I've never seen them act like that before. Aren't you here to take them away?
Negative. I arrived alongside them.
Aya then raises the query that's been nagging her since 2 days ago. Where is Coco, her third cherished Flicky? Gamma responds.
Creature sustained critical trauma. Internal life support required for continued survival. Rescue incomplete.
I don't understand.
Upon realizing that he's dealing with but a child, Gamma simplifies his words, intending to soften the blow as much as possible.
Coco is hurt. She can no longer sustain herself on her own. Releasing her now would cause her great pain.
Releasing her? What do you mean, release her?
Gamma points to his chest.
Coco is here. She is inside. My body keeps her alive while she sleeps, and in turn, she allows me to go on. I function because she is here. She is my power. I am hers.
The young Aya slips into total shock. A confused look blankets the young girl's face before understanding finally sinks in. Tears trickle down from the corners of her eyes. She's finally been given a chance to be reunited with her beloved pets, only to learn that one of them is near death, only holding on by a thread. Aya quells up, holding in her heartache and placing her trembling hand against Gamma's chest.
I could not rescue her. So I instead made it my mission to return her and her 2 siblings to their home. To you. I'm sorry she couldn't be here.
But she is here! Because of you!
Aya's unexpected statement shakes Gamma into silence as he looks down at her. He was convinced that she'd be banging on his chest, screaming for him to set Ko free. But no. Aya has already formed her own perception of what Gamma is. He's a knight in shining armor. He rescued Fu, me, and Ko. He's a hero. She sniffles, wiping her eyes and looking up to Gamma with a jubilant yet soft smile.
What's your name?
Gamma.
Aya presses her cheek against Gamma's metal frame and throws her arms around him, hugging him tightly.
Welcome home, Coco. Welcome home, Gamma.
And that's where we're gonna end this story for now. So what do you guys think? What do you think of the upgraded Gamma? What did you think of little Aya and her grandpa Tomo? Gamma's now settled into a new home alongside Aya, the archaeologists, and the Flickies, but there's still the matter of Coco the pink Flicky and how to safely remove her. Is Gamma's mission truly at a standstill, or could something else call him to action once again? Please share your thoughts with me in the comments below. I've been the Sega Scourge, and I'll see you guys in the next Sonic What If. Take care.